A instigates B to murder C. B, in pursuance of the instigation, stabs C. C, however, recovers from the wound. What is A to be charged with? Of course it is abetment. But is it abetment to cause hurt or abetment to murder? We have covered what abetment is and what are the different modes of abetment, what are the different types of abetment in the previous lecture. In this part, we shall learn who an abettor is, what is the liability of an abettor, how far he is liable for the acts done by him, etc. in today's lecture. Here, we shall cover section 108 IPC, which deals with the 5 explanatory clauses, which in fact explains and expands the concept of abetment along with abettor. Before we jump into today's lecture, let us quickly revise the various modes of abetment provided in section 107 IPC. There are 3 kinds of abetment provided in the provision, which are abetment by instigation, abetment by conspiracy, and abetment by intentional aid. Instigation means to incite, provoke, encourage, etc. And abetment by conspiracy is engaging in conspiracy. The person is engaging in conspiracy, and along with that, if he does an act or illegal omission in pursuance of the conspiracy, then it is abetment by conspiracy. And the third type of abetment, which is abetment by intentional aid, includes aiding the perpetrator of the crime by an act or an illegal omission or an act facilitating the crime commission. Therefore, by virtue of this provision, it is to be understood that the person who abets an offence, who is an abettor, should be either an instigator, a conspirator, or a person who gives aid to the commission of the crime. However, the Indian Penal Code has provided for the definition of abettor in section 108 IPC. As far as section 108 is concerned, it first defines an abettor to an offence, and it proceeds to expanding the concept of abettor by virtue of the 5 explanations provided therein. As according to the provision, the term abettor is defined as a person who abets the commission of an offence or who abets the commission of an act which would be an offence if committed by a legally capable person. First, let us look into the first part of the definition, which is a person who abets the commission of an offence. Here, the term abet means a person who instigates, a person who engages in conspiracy, or a person who aids in the commission of an offence by virtue of section 107 IPC. So, when a person does any of these 3 acts to another person in order to effectuate a crime, then the person is an abettor. Now, looking on to the second part of the definition, wherein an abettor is a person who abets the commission of an act which would be an offence if committed by a legally capable person. Here we are talking about the acts performed by an innocent agent. Now, who is an innocent agent? A person who is incapable in law in committing crimes. For example, a child who is below 7 years of age, an insane person, etc. So, these people are not supposed to be committing a crime because they are legally incapable of committing the crime. They are exempted from criminal liability by virtue of the general exceptions provided in chapter 4 of the Indian Penal Code. So even if the acts performed by these persons cannot be penalized, the abetment would stand, and the person who abets happens to be the abettor. Clear? Along with the definition, the provision has also put forward 5 explanations which expands the concept of abettor as also abetment. The explanations are: abetment of illegal omission is an offence, effect of abetment is immaterial, the abetted need not be capable of committing an offence, abetment of an abetment is an offence, and the abettor need not consent in the abetment by conspiracy. Now let us examine each of these clauses in detail. Explanation 1 says, abetment of illegal omission is an offence. Here, a person who is duty bound to do something is refraining from doing that because of abetment of another person, then it is supposed to be an offence as per this explanation. So, there is an illegal omission, and that illegal omission is because of the abetment of another person. Then, it is considered to be abetment by virtue of this explanation. Example, A instigates a police officer to leave a scene of a cognizable offence. See, here the police officer is supposed to be present there, but he had left the scene because A had instigated him to leave the scene. So, the police officer here is guilty of illegal omission and A will be guilty of abetting illegal omission of the police officer. I hope it is clear to you now. This illegal omission is not to be confused with the illegal omission provided in section 107, okay? Refer to part 1 abetment if there is any confusion. Explanation 2 says, effect of the abetment is immaterial, which means the offence of abetment is complete as and when the abetment is complete. The abetted act need not be committed. The desired effect is immaterial. Example, A instigates B to murder C, whereupon B stabs C, but C recovers from his injuries. Here, law says, by virtue of this explanation, A is guilty of abetment to murder and not any other offences like hurt. I think you got the answer to the opening question by now. And now moving on to the third explanatory clause, which is the person abetted need not be capable of committing an offence. So here we are talking about abetment by innocent agents. This runs as an explanation to the second part of the definition clause. Here the abettor is held liable, but the innocent agent is left scot-free because he is just the abettor's tool to commission of the offence. It is because of the fact that he has no guilty intention as provided by law. He is legally incapable in committing the crimes. Clear? Example, A with the intention of murdering Z instigates B, a child under 7 years of age, to do an act which causes Z's death. B, in consequence of the abetment, does the act in absence of A and thereby causes Z's death. This is in fact illustration B to section 108 explanatory clause 3. Here, B has committed no offence because he is just the tool of A, that is, he is the innocent agent here, but A will be charged for abetment to murder. The fourth explanation says, abetment of an abetment is an offence. This is a case wherein there is more than one abetment involved. Here, if the principal abetment is an offence, then all the subsequent abetments will also be an offence. Let us consider this example. A instigates B to instigate C to murder Z. B accordingly instigates C to murder Z. And C commits that offence in consequence of B's instigation. Law says, that is, by virtue of explanation 4 to section 108, A and B both will be liable to the same punishment. Here there are more than one abetment. The first person has instigated the second person to instigate the third person to kill Z. Here the third person had actually committed the act, but it was because of the instigation by the second person, which was because of the instigation of the first person. Therefore, both first person and the second person will be held liable for abetment. The only condition is that the substantive abetment, the principal abetment, must be an abetment of an offence. Okay? And finally, explanatory clause 5 says the abettor need not consent in the abetment by conspiracy, which means it is not necessary that all the conspirators know each and every details of the plot in order to make them liable. It is sufficient that he engages in conspiracy and in pursuance of which the offence got committed. Now, why is it so? It is because of the simple reason that conspiracies are hatched in secrecy. So it is impractical to make each and every person know of the plot as well as to trust each and every person with all the fine details. Anyhow, all are equal by virtue of this law along with the main perpetrator, even though all of them were not directly connected with him. Now let us check this problem. A instigates B to defame C. B refuses to do so. What is the liability of A? Explanation 2 to section 108 makes it clear that the effect of abetment is immaterial, that the offence of abetment is complete as and when the abetment has taken place. It is immaterial whether the abetted has refused to do or did not end up in the desired effect. Therefore, A is an abettor and he will be punished for the offence of abetment. And here the problem to ponder. A abets B, a lunatic, to drop poison into the food of C. What is the liability of A and B? Please post your answers in the comment box below. Also your feedbacks and suggestions. Stay tuned to Locities for more lectures. See you.